Welcome, everybody. This is episode 6 of the Advanced Dungeons and Dynamics 365 Bare Bones Configuration series. This is a series that I'm putting on that allows us to see how to go out and configure Dynamics 365, and hopefully in a fun way, with a little bit of entertainment along the way. But what we're doing is we're going through and we're starting from the beginning of a blank system of with Dynamics 365, and we're going through and setting everything up step by step so that you can have really an idea of how all of this works, and it gives you a better understanding of the configurations and how all that works. So in this is the 6th episode, and we've been working through the setup, and we spent the first 4 episodes talking about some of the configuration as we move through. But now what we're doing is we're moving through into actually some real setup, some business setup, and we've been working through the initial setup of the general ledger. And if you want to go out and if you want to do this yourself, then feel free. It's simple to do. You can just follow all the instructions that that I lay out in these episodes, and also you can go out and you can find your own virtual machine and just start with a blank database. If you don't want to do that, if you want to get some instant gratification, then we've actually got a bank of labs that we can loan out to you that allow you to set up all this, and you don't have to have the hassle of running everything yourself and all of those things. So just keep that in mind, that everything that we're showing here you can do yourself, and you should be able to do yourself. And even for the seasoned F&O consultants, this may be useful because it gives you an idea of how some of the underlying functions work that you may not be familiar with, especially if you're like me, that you're a supply chain management sort of person, and then having to go out and learn the financials as well. So let's move over and start looking at what we're doing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll back just a little bit to what we were looking at yesterday and show the final configuration that I did, because when we left our adventuring party yesterday, what we were doing is we were setting up main accounts and chart of accounts in the system, and there's a lot in there. So what I did is I went out yesterday and completed off that task so that we can go and see what that looks like. So I'm just going to pull up the environment here, and so this is what we've been working with as we've been moving through. And what I did is I went out and I completed the chart of accounts. So if you've been following this, or if you rewind and look at these items, then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the chart of accounts. And you can see now that I've got my standard chart of accounts, and I've got a lot of different accounts set up here. So I went through all of the accounts that we've got defined in the training and set those up, including all the ones for Faerûn, because one of the things about this is we've disconnected this training from any particular country or locale that you all may be located in, and moved all of this into the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons realm, which gives us a lot more flexibility because we can do some more fun things as we're moving through. So as you can see, we've got all of our assets set up. I started allocating main account categories, so we've got listed here. We've got all of our accounts in the 1,000 range, all of our asset accounts within the 1,000s, all of our liabilities within the most of the 2,000s, and so forth. And then we've got expenses and P&L and items in all of the accounts that are after 4,000. Now, this is going to be important because the next step that we're going to do is we're going to set up some account structures and work through that. So we've created our standard chart of accounts, and where we're now at the point that we can move on and set up some more configurations. So what we're going to do is we're going to move through this, and if you're going through and working through the documentation that I've been creating, then what we've got is we've got all the steps, and then also we've got, in this case, the full listing of our main accounts. So you can see everything that I've set up here, and also all of the ones that if we have a Faerûnian style company, the ones that we may want here for arcane licensing and all these things. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to create an account structure. And account structures allow us to define the groupings that we may have for our chart of account accounts. Now, I'm following sort of like the standard that all of the other demo systems have, where I'm breaking out all of my balance sheet accounts into one account structure and my P&L accounts into another structure. And this is going to be a template that we're going to use within our organizations. And these can also vary based off organizations. So, or we could have substructures if we want to be more granular in our sort of account ranges and structures. But these are used to allow us to segregate out, for example, everything that's balance sheet, so assets and liabilities and so forth, and owner's equity and all these things go in the balance sheet account, and then see all the accounts for the profit and loss, which would be revenue and expenses and other items like that. As you can see, I'm a highly trained financial person when it comes to all of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and going to start setting up our account structures. And hopefully we shouldn't come across any problems here. So now I'm going to go out and look for the configure account structures through the search menu. This is my favorite way to go out and find menu items if I know what they are, rather than hunting and pecking through the main menu. But also if we wanted to go through the main menu, then I could go out to here. I could go into the general ledger, and I could go into the, just make sure I've got that. It's going to be in general ledger, chart of accounts, structures. So I'm going to be general chart of accounts structures down here. So we've got this menu item for the configuration of the account structures. So if I select this, then it's going to take me into an area where I can create my individual account structures. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my groupings of my accounts that I can use within the system. So I'm going to create a new account structure. And this is going to be profit and loss. So I'm going to just give it the name profit and loss. Whoops. So, and also what I'll do is I'll copy that and I'll put that into the description. So I'm going to create this, and it's going to create my account structure. So this is a rule that we have for how do we manage, or how do we describe what the accounts are within the structure. Now, I think I did this sort of around the wrong way, but what we'll do is we'll work through it. So the P&L accounts start from 4,000 and they end at the 9,000. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say it's in between 4,000 and 9,999. So those are my main accounts that I have here in the account. Now we're going to change. We can change these, or we'll change these later on, because what we're going to do is we're going to add account dimensions. Not right now, but we're going to do it later on for like department or cost center, or we could have project or anything that we may want within the account. And this allows us to have blank values, but we want to go out and just have the P&L from accounts 4,000 to 9,999. Now that we've got this, we can then go out and activate it. So this is going to enable this and get the account structure up and running. So let's just activate this and try this and see how this goes. So that's been pushed out to the batch queue. So now I'm going to create another one, balance sheet accounts. So assets, liabilities, owners, equity, and so forth. And I'm going to create this one as well. Now the balance sheet accounts are going to be between and includes, so it's going to be from 1,000 through to 3,999. So now this could be, if you want to use the numbers before 1,000 for the chart of accounts, then you can, but that comes across a problem with leading zeros and sort of makes things look untidy. And I'm just going to select that, and I'm going to apply this as well. And one thing to make sure that you do is make sure you do the between and includes, because if we had a range that was between, then that would our main account for our in this case our coin on hand wouldn't be recognized. We need to have the between and includes selected here. And then I'm just going to activate this as well and run through the account structure. Now, if we have different companies and we have different account structures, or maybe we have completely different account ranges, maybe for different locales, then we will go out and create more of these within the system. But as we can see here, as I move back to the account structures, then the P&L is now active, so we can go out and use that. And also the balance sheet is now active as well. So the batch process that was running in the background has actually gone out and finished that. So what we've got, now we've got our account structures that we can use. So now if we want to continue on, we can go out and create other ones. So as you can see, I've got my balance sheet structure here and the P&L structure, but we could create other items for grants, or for maybe if we had accounts that were for magical distributions that maybe were from 10,000 on. If we wanted to break that rule on the 4 digits, then we could go out and manage that. So now we've got account structures, and we're sort of building this up so that we can create a company ledger, which is the end result. So we're setting up all of these sort of starting points along the way. So the next building block that we need for the ledger is going to be the fiscal calendar. And we can create, we'll create a calendar that is, will actually diverge from the documentation a little bit. We'll create a calendar that's sort of like a standard calendar, something typical to what you'd see right now, which would be allows to have period 1, 2, 3, and 4. And also what we're going to do is we're going to look at how we could go out and create a custom calendar, because in Faerûn, our current date is actually 1489, and we have more than 12 periods here, because we've got special periods within the grouping that we want to manage. So what we want to do is we'll create the standard calendar and then see if we can create the Haptos calendar as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to, now that we've created this, we're going to go back to find our calendars. So I'm just going to do a search for calendars. And I can pull up the calendars a number of different ways. I can pull the fiscal calendars up based off the cost accounting, based off the fiscal calendars, and different areas. But I want the fiscal calendars in this case. So I went and did a search. Now, if I wanted to, I could go out and go into the general ledger and go into the fiscal calendars here as well, so that we can set these up. But I've already moved here into the fiscal calendar itself. So let's create a new calendar. And I'm going to just create a standard calendar. And the calendar is going to go from the first of the year. Right now it's 2025 to the end of the year. The name of the fiscal calendar is going to be 2025 because we're going to create new years on top of this. And then we're going to break this out by months. Now, we could break this out by days, or we could separate this out, and we're going to do that when, if we get to the point of creating a Heptos calendar, but I'm going to just create this. And as I do this, it's gone out and it's created all the periods for us. So it's actually created 14 periods. And we've got an opening period and a closing period. So the two sort of statutory financial periods that allow us to do this. And then also we've got the 12 periods in between. So we're creating 14 calendars, 14 periods along the way. Now, if I wanted to create more years and extend this out, which I will right now, so I can just say, I want to create a new year. And it knows that I've created the year for 2025, so it's creating a new one for 2026. So I'm going to create that. And it's going to create that same template for me. And let's go out and create the years and continue on for around about 5 or so years. This gives us a good sort of period to work through as we're going out and setting this up. Now, if I wanted to, I could go out and I could create another calendar. And this is going to be the Heptos calendar. And it's going to start on the January 1st of the year. It's going to end on the end of the year. And we're going to just accept the defaults for now. And I'll work on this after or in the later on so that we can see how this works. But what I'm going to do is I can go out and I can edit this. So what we have is we've got the opening period is going to be the first period. And then the next period is going to be hammer. And that's going to go from January the 1st to the 30th. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify this. Let's see. We're going to modify this, or actually I think I might need to go out and delete these periods and recreate them. But so I've got a little bit of homework on how I actually did this in the past and how I can go out and work through this. But what this shows is that we can go out and we can create these additional years on the way. Now, I want to create this because I want to go out and use this as my standard calendar. And also what I can do is I can rename this as well. So because I want to rename the year, I'm going to change this to 1489, which is the current year in the Dungeon and Dragon sort of milieu along the way. So, but we can go out and we can manipulate this and we can sort of change it and work through these. So if I want to go out and delete these periods and add additional periods as well, then I can do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop with that just because I've already got this set up and we can move through. So the final item that we're going to do, or nearly the final item, is we're going to take all of these building blocks and finish off this section. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to create a ledger. So we've been building up all of these and we've been building up the configurations along the way. And now what we've got to do is we've got to take all these building blocks and create a company ledger that's associated with the Waterdeep Trading Company. And then also go out and say, what is the account structure that it uses? What is the chart of accounts that it uses? What is the calendar that it uses? Also, what are the default currencies that we use as we're going out and setting that up? So let's move over to the demo environment and let's do that and show you how to do that. So I'm going to find the ledger, and the ledger is in the general ledger setup. So again, if we go over to the main menu and look over here in the ledger, so let me close these down, then we've got the ledger configuration is one of the menu items that we have here within Dynamics. So we've already got a ledger for the for this legal entity, but it hasn't been defined. It hasn't had the finishing touches put on it along the way. So our steps here is that we're going to go into the chart of accounts. We're going to choose the standard chart of accounts. We're going to choose the Harptos calendar that we had, and we're going to save that. Okay, and also we're going to say the accounting currency is going to be Faerûnian standard dollars, and our reporting currency is going to be Faerûnian standard dollars. So what we've got is now we've got the currency that we're using inside of the ledger. Now, if I wanted to, I could use gold pieces, silver pieces, copper pieces if I want. But from a reporting standpoint and from a Faerûn regulatory compliance, we'll say, then we're going to use the standard dollars as our reporting currency. Now, also what we're going to do is we want to add our accounting structures. So what this is doing is this is saying, what are the ranges of accounts that we're using inside of this ledger? And because we've gone out and configured the balance sheet and the P&L accounts, then we can just go and select that. What that's going to do is that's going to add the dimensions to the legal entity. So we've done that. Let me see if I can do the P&L as well. So now we've gone out and created our ledger, and we've configured it, and we've got all the main information except for our currency conversions. So which we haven't configured yet, and we'll get to that later on as we sort of move through. Now, the final item that we'll do while we're here is we'll go out and configure some of the default accounts. So what we're going to do here is, so can let me do that. Then if we have different currencies, then we'll go out and maintain the realized gains and unrealized gains associated with this. I think it's still working in the background, so we'll just bypass that. Now, the final item that we're going to do today before we finish and really finish this, this module or this section of the configuration is just a little bit of tidy up. And now that we've got a chart of accounts and we've configured our ledger, then we can go out and we can set up some of the accounts that are being used for the automatic postings. This just tidies things up a little bit. What we're going to do is we can say what our error account is. It's going to suspense, penny differences is going to go to the rounding account, and all of these other things are going to be linked in there. But before I do that, I'll show one last item that we have here in the configuration, And that's because we've set up a ledger. Now what we can do is we can go into this main accounts area. So when we set up our accounts, we set up a chart of accounts, and the chart of accounts had accounts associated with it. If I now go into the main accounts, then what we're going to see is we've actually got all of the accounts here associated with our legal entity and also linked to the legal entity. So this is important. If you tried to access this before, then you wouldn't have been able to access it because we didn't have a standard chart of accounts associated with the legal entity. So we can actually go out and we can now modify this if we want to and change some of the company-specific concepts that we have with our chart of accounts along the way. But what we want to do is we want to now just go out and make this one final change. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into this one item, which is the accounts for the automatic transactions. Now, if I go into the general ledger and go into the posting setup, then it's also down here inside the main menu. It's not in any of the workspaces. It's just some menu that you're only going to access once. So we're not going to have to really go back here necessarily unless we want to. So there aren't any accounts that we have set up here for our main chart of accounts. But what we're going to do is going to say, I want to create the defaults. So these are the main chart of accounts items that we need. And it's going to ask us what we want to make these. So this is going to be 2600. Let's go around it. Yeah, so 2600 is our rounding account. And also if we look at this item here, then all of the rounding accounts will be posted to the same account. So 2600 and 2600. Now our error account is going to be our suspense account. So, or you could post everything to suspense. That's entirely up to you. And then we're going to have, I think, the year-end results is going to be 3,000 for the owner's contribution. The balance sheet items is going to be 8150. Make sure that unrealized gains or losses, I think that is. Customer account is 4,400. And the vendor account is 4,450. Maybe I need to, yeah. So those are for cash discounts and deduction expenses. I may check that deduction expenses. That might need to go to somewhere else. But now we can save that. We've actually set up our ledger. So we've completed all of this, and now we've got a fully functioning ledger that we can start using. There's nothing in the ledger because we haven't posted anything, but we've got all the configuration is set up for us. So this sort of ends the this section. We've spent around about 30 minutes working through this, but we've done a lot. We've got a ledger in our chart of accounts, and we've got a lot of things sort of set up. In the next episode, what we're going to do is we're going to start setting up some of the other ledger activities. So, for example, we're going to set up, I believe, the journals, the general ledger journals, and how those are managed, and a couple of other areas in the system as well. So this will start getting more interesting, because once we've set that up, then we can start creating postings. We could create journals and see those running through the ledger. And then what we'll do is we'll go out and we'll create some of the more, some of the other areas within the general ledger that we can go out and take advantage of. So I hope this is interesting. If you like this project and you want it to continue, then validate me and go out and maybe support us through the Patreon account. If you do support us, then there'll be other sort of tidbits of information that we're going to post to the Patreon account that won't be available on LinkedIn. So it's going to be for the patrons and the people that are supporting this project. And also, if you want to go out and do this yourself, then just contact us. So we can help you either set up your own environment for free, or you could go out and use one of the lab environments and borrow the lab environment so that you can go out and do this in a more controlled environment without all the things that you have to set up along the way. So hope this is useful, and I look forward to episode 7, where we dive more into the general ledger.